Good evening, everyone. Let's settle down for today's talk, and you may show your agreement with 3 rounds of sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sunyato lokang avekkasu Mogharaja sada sato attanuditing uhacha evang machutaro siya evang lokang avekkantang machurajana passati. Dear Venerable, dear Dhamma friends, we are really attached to the known world that we are in. We feel comfortable here. We know the surrounding. We know the people. So we are very much attached to the known world. Even coming here, it takes a lot of effort. Being apart from your loved ones, being away from your home, it takes a lot of effort and courage. Why? Because you feel comfortable in your daily life. You feel comfortable in the known world. And let's say there's this worldly example, a person who has been in prison for 20 years, getting released. But that person is not used to the outside world. For 20 or so years, he has been behind bars. So this person, he commits a crime just to go back to the prison. Same type of example we can see with wild animals. A wild animal is caught and probably, let's say, treated for something. After many months, many years of treatment, this wild animal is released into the forest. The cage, the door is open. This wild animal steps outside, maybe like few steps, go out from the cage, look at the surrounding, look at the forest, then again return back inside the cage. So you can see, even in human behavior, even in the behavior of the animals, they prefer the known one. They prefer the known world. They prefer being in that comfort zone, and they dare not go outside of that. So same goes for us. Our behavior is that we are used to the comfortable place that we are in. We are used to the people that we know. We are used to the environment that we know. So we prefer staying there. Not only in the outside world, even in the mind, we can feel that whatever the thought processes, whatever the opinions, whatever the views, whatever the ideas you have, usually you are in a comfortable thought process. You are in a non-thought process. So you keep thinking the same way, you keep behaving the same way, you are in this among the same people, you prefer staying in the same place. That type of a comfortability we have in the known place. With that idea, we can come to today's discussion. I'm sure most of you were here yesterday. So that was about a question presented to Buddha from a Brahmin, which was named Mogharaja. So this Brahmin comes to Buddha and asks a question. Katan lokang avekkantang machuraja napassati. How to look upon the world so the king of death won't see you. That's the question Mogharaja is asking. And today I quoted Buddha's answer for the question Mogharaja is asking. Buddha says, Sunyato lokang avekkassu Mogharaja sadasato. That's the first part of the answer. Sunyato lokang avekkassu Mogharaja sadasato. Mogharaja, being ever mindful, look upon the world as empty. That's the advice given by Buddha. Being ever mindful, look upon the world as empty. That's the first part of the answer Buddha is giving. Now, mindfulness is there, being ever mindful. Mogharaja, you should be looking upon the world as empty. That's what Buddha is saying. But here, the person who is asking the question, his name is Mogharaja. So in a way, Buddha is twisting his answer to match the person's name as well. Mogharaja, if you translate his name, it's more like king of emptiness. Mogha, empty. Right? King of emptiness. So the king of emptiness is asking how to escape the king of death. That's what he is asking. So Buddha is twisting his answer to match Mogharaja's name and saying you should look upon the world as empty. You should live up to your name. That's the very idea. So he is king of emptiness. Buddha is simply saying you should live up to your name. If you can live up to your name, then the king of death won't see you. Now, usually when someone goes forth, a fresh name is given. A noble name is given. We say noble birth. A lay person becomes a monk or a nun. A fresh name is given. All this time they have been used to a particular name. All their life they have been used to a particular name. But now a fresh name is given. A noble name is given. So this whole change, usually we are very much attached to our own names. Whenever in a group, when our name is called, we give attention. Quickly we give attention. So in a way we are very comfortable with our name. We are given a name and we answer to it. But when someone goes forth, a fresh name is given. And initially it is really hard to get used to the fresh name. Some people, they prefer alternatives for the given name. They don't like the given name and they would go to the teacher and say, I would prefer a different name. But unfortunately it is not selected by you. You don't have that authority. Instead the seniors will do it. So you are given a fresh name, a noble name, and usually the very idea is to live up to that name. That's the very idea. When you become a monk or a nun, a fresh name is given and you have to live up to that name. At least try. Yes, so initially you don't feel comfortable with it. Initially you feel a lot of friction and you forget that this is my name. But after many years, you get used to the new name and you answer to that name. Right? Even, let's say, after many years, that change will happen. And I'm wondering what will happen if somebody comes and call this person from the previous name. Let's say maybe after many years of being a monk. If someone comes and call you from your previous name, lay name, I'm sure that programming is also inside. So you might answer to that name as well. So anyway, Buddha is saying to Mogharaja that you should live up to your name, the king of emptiness. If you can look upon the world as empty, then that's the way. That's the way to escape the king of death. So that's the first part of the answer that Buddha gives. Now, this emptiness, usually we work, we talk, we think. That's how we live our lives. Now imagine a work day. How many times that you are doing variety of activities? How many times that you are talking? How many thoughts you are harboring? So it is all about working, talking, thinking. And these things we appreciate. In our lay lives, that's what we do. But when we think about the idea of emptiness, you are encouraged to practice emptiness comparatively. It's not like you can directly go to perfect emptiness. That's not possible. Instead, you can simply do something and practice emptiness comparatively. For example, let's say come into a retreat. That's in a way giving up the known world and practicing some emptiness. Now these 3 days, you feel that something is lacking. We always want to do something. We want to talk. We want to think. That's how we have been for all these decades. Now, since you are here, you have to simply be, simply walk, simply sit, and just be with that posture. Not so much of doing that's available there. Then even the talking, we encourage you to observe noble silence. Noble silence means you don't have to stay like a mute. You can talk when there is a need, when something is necessary. Noble silence. You appreciate the silence more. But we don't feel like appreciating silence. We feel like talking. There's this urge to talk. So practicing few days like this, comparatively you feel emptiness. Even thinking thoughts, we have been thinking a lot. But maybe the very first day we said that keep your thoughts aside. Tell them that I'll attend to you after 3 days. All the thoughts that we have been harboring, all the ideas, future planning, we try to keep them aside. That way, although it is not appreciated in our mind, we at least try to keep these things aside. So you can see, instead of the working attitude, we try not to work. Instead of the talking attitude, we try not to talk. Instead of the thinking attitude, we try not to appreciate the thoughts. Right? So this way, you are experiencing emptiness. It is not perfect emptiness, but we experience emptiness comparatively. We have been full of many things, but now we try to experience emptiness of things. We have been full of work. Now we try to experience emptiness of work. We have been full of words. Now we try to experience silence. We have been full of thoughts. Now we try to experience emptiness in our mind. So you can see this whole journey of meditation is experiencing a certain level of emptiness. giving up your phone when you come to a retreat, that creates a huge void in you. You feel like a part of your body is giving up. You feel like you are giving a kidney. Yes, some people, they come with 2 phones and hand over the broken one to the organizers and keep the good one with them hidden. So you can see how attached are we. We have many justifications for them. We say, my people at home, they might need me. Some urgency might appear. Or I have to attend to some work that I have. Right? All these thoughts, justifications are there. But in a way, we try to practice being empty. You feel like part of you is missing when the phone is not there. Right? So this way, this whole idea of meditation, this idea of a monastery, idea of a retreat, is to experience a certain level of emptiness. And you can try it in different ways. You can come to a retreat like this, experience it for 3 days. Maybe tomorrow you'll be running for your dear life. Go back home, feel comfortable in the usual known place. But that's okay, you go back, you enjoy the comfort of your known world, and again you can come back. Maybe for a longer period, you can try it. So this way, in different ways, we try being empty. Let's say even becoming a monk or accepting certain precepts. You are giving up some things. Now the precept, the 8 precepts for yogis that you are observing at the moment, you are giving up certain things. Maybe the most influential one probably would be your dinner. And towards the end day, you start to feel it. You start to feel the emptiness in your stomach. Yes? And you try to fill it with various things, but it is not successful. Yes? So that way we can try. And sometimes becoming a monk, they would try. So all these things are practicing a certain level of emptiness. Becoming a monk, that person will give up lot of things. Yes, the familiar home will be given up. All the friends and family will be given up. And maybe even the familiar clothes, they are given up. Even the hair, given up. Right? So all these things are in a way trying to experience the emptiness that Buddha is suggesting. You can try it in different ways. He was asking about a question about ragged robes. That too, in a way, is practicing a certain level of emptiness. A discarded piece of cloth is used for a robe. Earlier, they have been doing a lot of fashion, branded clothes, comfortable clothes, but now a ragged robe is used. So earlier times, the clothes were very rare and maybe like, thrown away piece of cloth, a discarded piece of cloth, a piece of cloth without the owner was taken and made it into a robe. Right? Nowadays, it's difficult to find discarded pieces of cloth. Nowadays, the clothes are readily available, not that rare. But still, you can practice if you need. Usually, some of the devotees, they come to our monastery, and during the alms round, they leave pieces of cloth near the walking path, near the path that leads into the monastery. It is brand new, white clothes, but still they show it to the monks that this is without honor. So a piece of cloth, a brand new white piece of cloth is left beside the pathway, near a tree probably. And you go closer, the owner is hiding behind the tree. They want to make sure that the piece of cloth is used probably. So they are hiding behind the tree. So it's with honor, but they are showing that it is without honor. And you look even closer, they are recording on their phone. They want to post it on Facebook, suggesting that we offered a ragged piece of cloth to a monk. So that type of situation, present days, you can see. Right? But the whole idea is simply to give up the usual comfortable ways of life and try to practice a certain level of emptiness. We are not given the comfort that we have. So you can see that way, comparatively, we experience this. We have been full of things, but now we try to experience being empty of things. Now even in your meditation, when you sit in meditation, even let's say coming to this place, coming to a retreat center, you forget the rest of the world. At least you try. You give up your home, forget about your family members. Now your problems only inside the retreat center. Inside these walls of the retreat center, you see a certain friction. You are among other people, they behave in various ways. Sometimes you are bothered by them. But at least now you don't have the entire world's problems. Instead, your problems are restricted to these 4 walls. And let's say you go and sit in meditation. You close your eyes. Now even the retreat center is forgotten. Now your problems, your friction is only limited to your body. You feel the discomfort in the sitting posture. You feel a certain heat in the environment. But your problems are limited to your body. And you bring your attention to the breathing. At a moment you are observing the breath, you even forget your whole body. Now only the breath is available. Only the breath is your world. You pay attention to the breathing and you have given up your body as well. Now only the friction in the breathing is available. That friction is there. In breath goes like this, probably longer. Out breath goes shorter. In breath is warmer. Out breath is cooler. So that type of a friction you feel. But now it is limited only to the breathing. Not even bodily frictions are felt. And when you observe it for a while, you can feel even the breath disappears. That little friction that you have felt, it disappears. And maybe for the very first time, you get to experience empty of things. You get to experience relative emptiness. And that experience might be a life-changing experience for most people. They have been experiencing the other extreme only, but now, maybe for the very first time of their life, they experience this extreme. Instead of the full of things, now experience the emptiness of things. That experience is unique. That experience is comfortable. That experience you feel like cloud 9. Even little children, after sitting for like 10-15 minutes, they wake up and they share their experience. And they say, Bhante, I have felt a totally different level of relaxation in our mind. I felt like I was in heaven. That is not perfect, but still, due to this relative emptiness, you feel that you are comfortable. So you can see this whole journey of meditation, in a way we try to appreciate emptiness. Buddha is suggesting that we should look upon the world as empty. That's what Buddha is saying. And the second part, Attanudditi uhacha evang machu tarosya. Having uprooted the view of self, you may thus cross the death. That's the second part Buddha is saying. Attanudditi uhacha, having uprooted the view of self, you may thus cross the death. If you can uproot the view of self, then you can cross the death. That's what Buddha is saying. Now, in this whole practice, we are experimenting with idea of self or view of self. Most of us, we try to rush into answers. The questions are presented, right? Do we have a self? Is there a self? Those type of questions are very popular in this world. But in a way, Buddha is addressing this idea of self cautiously. He is not rushing into answers. One time about Buddha preaches about answering questions. He is saying that there are 4 types. There are four different ways of answering questions. Some of the questions, they can be given a direct answer. Some of the questions, you have to go into detail and explain in length. And some of the questions, you have to answer it by a question. Questioning the questioner. That's how Buddha is saying. So this third type is important when it comes to the idea of self. What are these type of questions? This question is answered with a question. You have to question the questioner. Buddha is saying certain questions you should be answering like this. We can take one of the worldly examples. Let's say a divorce case at court, right? So the lawyers are always trying to twist the truth. They will ask these type of questions, right? Let's say if the husband was asked, "Are you still beating your wife? Are you still beating your wife?" What will happen if you answer that question? You answer yes, you are caught. You answer no, you are caught. Why? That question has the assumption that he had been beating. Right? Are you still beating your wife? That's the question. So that type of a question you shouldn't be answering. Instead, you have to question the questioner. So you can, even worldly examples you can see. That's what the lawyers do. I'm sorry, maybe some lawyers are also here. No idea, right? So lawyers, they try to twist the truth with these type of questions. That's their profession. They will say, this person has these diseases. Whatever the diseases found in the book, this person has them. Right? So that way they try to twist it. Right? That's why they say the lawyers are always, all of them are in hell. Right? That's what they are saying. There's this very nice story, an argument between the king of gods and the king of death. An argument. They are having an argument. They are saying that this is not going to work. You have to do this. The king of death is demanding. Still no conclusion, no agreement. Finally, the king of gods, he got really angry and he said, I am going to sue you. Probably in an international court, no? Yes, I am going to sue you. Then the king of death, he is saying, do what you can do. But how are you going to find a lawyer? All the lawyers are with me. Yes? So those type of questions, those type of twisting of truth is there. Right? So when it comes to the idea of self, mostly these type of questions are presented. There's this very insightful discussion between Buddha and Vacchagotta. One of the Vacchagotta suttas, you can find this. This Vacchagotta, this person comes to the Buddha and asking a certain type of self-related questions. He is asking, Atti Atta. Atti Atta means, is there a self? Buddha is silent. Then he is asking again, Natti Atta. Is there no self? Still, Buddha didn't break his silence. So Vacchagotta, he waited for a while and he left. And Venerable Ananda, who was nearby, he was asking Bhante, why didn't you answer those questions? Then Buddha was saying, Ananda, these questions, you shouldn't be answering them directly. You have to either answer these questions with a question, otherwise better you stay silent. That's what Buddha is saying. And to Venerable Ananda, he is explaining the logic behind this. He is saying, if you answer the question, let's say, Atti Atta, is there a self? If you answer that question, then that very answer will lead the listener towards eternalism. There is a self that continues throughout the eternity. A solid self is there. So you can see, simply by answering that question, the other person might get into a wrong view of eternalism. Then Buddha says, if you answer the second question, if you answer the question, Natti Atta, is there no self? If you answer that question, then it might lead a person into the idea or the view of nihilism. Nihilism, it might lead a person towards that. That view is more towards the idea of materialistic life. You live only this life. There is nothing beyond death. So you live whatever the way you need. You go pleasure seeking. You achieve things in ways, whatever the ways you like. Because there is no existence beyond this life. Nihilism. So Buddha is saying, if you answer the second question, it might lead into another wrong view. So you can see, instead of answering these questions, he stayed mute. He stayed silent. But only because of Venerable Ananda's inquiry, Buddha explained the background behind these questions. So you can see, we have to approach the very idea of self cautiously. We don't go demanding that there is no self, there is a self. Those type of demanding we don't do. Especially Buddhists, they have this wrong view of no self. They try to, go everywhere, tell people that there is no self. Probably true according to the idea, but you shouldn't be declaring that. Even Buddha didn't answer that very idea. Instead, we have to approach this cautiously. In a way, in our practice, we have this assumption. We assume that there is a self. And where is it? That's the whole observation that we go through. They introduce this as null hypothesis. You assume something. In mathematics, you can use this null hypothesis. You assume something and you work with that assumption. At the end, you will prove that the initial assumption was wrong. Right? So similarly, we try to approach. We say, okay, if there is a self, where is it? When I walk, do I experience the self? When I sit, do I experience the self? In my thoughts, do I experience the self? Right? So this very observation is the way to let go of this self-view. Attanudditi uhacha. You have to uproot the view of self. But how to uproot? That's the very question. Simply by getting that idea, you won't be uprooting. Most people, even these practice-related knowledge, the teachings, they use those very teaching knowledge to empower their self-view. Especially, let's say, meditators. They look upon the world as poor. They say, I'm a meditator, others are poor. They don't know the practice. I protect precepts, others are not protecting, so they are poorer than me. Right? So those type of views, those type of ideas, in a way, supporting your own self-view. So this is tricky. Even being a meditator, you get caught in the same process. Earlier you have been caught in the worldly things. Now you are caught in the noble things. That's why, how to uproot this view of self, you have to uproot it through the observation only. Again and again we inquire, where is this self? Is it in my thoughts? One moment you think that something is good for you. Next moment you think that it is bad for you. Which thoughts are the real thoughts? One moment you are sad, next moment you are happy. Which occasion was real you? One person you react in a certain way, another person you react in a different way. Who are you? So that type of observation we do. You have to understand uprooting. We are approaching through the observation. Otherwise, simply demanding your mind to uproot the view of self won't work. Right? We continue this observation. Now, even during these few days, being in sitting meditation, being in walking meditation, you got a certain level of insight into yourself. Maybe your certain views were wrong. Maybe certain assumptions were wrong. Only when you sit in meditation, when you walk in meditation, when you relax, you can observe, you can experience these things. Right? So that way, we continue with this observation. In a way, we are inquiring, where is this self? Where is this self? Is it there in my thoughts? Is it there in my emotions? Is it there in my something else? So that way, you keep observing. Now, there's this Russian philosopher. His name was Gurdjieff. I hope I am pronouncing it correct. Gurdjieff. That's his name. And he is suggesting an idea of self-remembering. That's the term he uses, self-remembering. Doing these activities, you remember yourself. You keep your observation. That type of idea he is given. And in his practice, he is suggesting this weird kind of a pattern. He is suggesting that you should do something repetitively and you should observe how this person or the self is doing this particular activity. Let's say you are seated on a chair and you have a glass of water in front of you. So Gurdjieff, he is suggesting that 3 movements. Your hands are on your lap. You lift your hand, you take the glass towards your mouth. You take a sip of water. Second step. Then the third step, again, putting the water glass on the table and return into the original posture. 1, 2, 3. 3 steps. And he is suggesting that you should do it for hundreds of times and observe how this process is happening. Are you demanding your hand to go there? Or is it just happening as a habit? Drinking process, sipping water, are you consciously doing these activities? Or is it happening more like automatically? So this way, he is suggesting that repetitive activities and you should practice self-remembering. That's the word he uses, self-remembering. Now one of these Satipasala sessions, number of facilitators are there. So I suggested them this activity. Drinking water, yes. Not for a couple of times. Drinking water for 25 rounds. So they were initially blaming me, Bante, where do you find these type of activities? You go come and suggest, but we have to do it. That's their complaint. So anyway, somehow they gathered the equipments. It was a Zoom session and they did this activity. 25 rounds you have to do. You have to keep another glass nearby in case you run out of water. Right? So 1, 2, 3. So they were doing this whole 25 rounds and they were trying to keep attentive towards the activity at hand. But you can see sometimes they are looking around, sometimes without even knowing, looking at the phone. Right? All these different reactions appear. After doing the whole activity, while many facilitators were blaming me, one person was saying, Bante, when I do it, maybe like 10 plus rounds, then I could feel a certain kind of drowsiness arising in the process. Earlier you were attentive, earlier you had a lot of energy, but gradually this drowsiness arises. And that person was saying that very drowsiness was similar to the drowsiness that appears in meditation. In the sitting, let's say, sitting meditation. So that was that person's experience. And if you go on YouTube, probably the most popular channel would be Mr. Beast. Some of you might know, probably younger people. Yes, Mr. Beast is the most popular channel, most subscribers. And maybe like 12 years ago, his initial videos, this guy was a little boy and he wasn't popular back then. His initial videos, the same type of repetitive activities are there. Probably like repeating the same word for 100,000 times. He has done a many hours long video on that. So this person starts with lot of energy. Young boy repeating the same word. That's how he starts. But when he goes into few hours of repeating the same word, you can really feel a certain level of drowsiness. Sometimes more like detoxing symptoms are appearing. And towards the end of it, he is like a dead body. Right? So he has done these type of weird kind of experiments, repeating the same word 100,000 times. Watching the same dance for 10 hours straight. Counting to 100,000. Watching at a blank screen, let's say that white noise kind of a screen, for 10 hours straight. Going through the same drive-through for 1,000 times. So these type of weird experiments he has done. And in those experiments you can see, if you are able to watch the whole video, maybe like 10 hours, yes, then you can see towards the end of it, he's like a dead body. All the energy was extracted out of him, and even some detoxing symptoms are appearing. Right? So the very same process is happening in our meditation. We don't try to do certain kind of weird patterns. Instead, what we do simply is doing our daily activities. They are repetitive, of course. Every day you are breathing maybe like 22,000 times in your body. Every day you are walking around 10,000 steps. Every day you are eating meals, brushing your teeth, traveling on the same road, driving. Right? So these type of repetitive activities are already there in our daily life. And in the process, we try to keep our attention with them. We don't adopt these kind of weird patterns. Instead, we do our daily activities and we try to be attentive. That's what we are doing. And when you try this, you can really feel how our experience changes. You start with lot of energy, you start with lot of drive, but gradually you feel the energy is reducing. A certain level of drowsiness arises. And towards the end of it, you feel like these detoxing symptoms are appearing. Right? So that's the whole process of meditation. You are attached to this world, this known world, but in the process, you get to experience what this world is like. Or in a way, you have this self-view. In the process, you are experiencing what this self is like. Usually, we can't keep our attention with that observation. That is the problem. Now, let's say in magic, they have this idea of misdirection. If they want to deceive you with a magic show, they use misdirection. Let's say they create some kind of a fire or a sound in this side, and from this side only the magic is happening. Maybe a pigeon appears from left side. Initially your attention is taken to the right, and in the process a pigeon appears to the left. Right? Misdirection. The attention is taken away and the magic happens here. Same goes for our observation. Usually there are a variety of things that will grab our attention and misdirection is there. When you try to observe the self, when you try to keep up with that observation, naturally misdirection happens. Certain memories come, certain images, mental images appear, sometimes certain colors appear. So all these things come. Most of the meditators, they start talking about those images, mental images. They sometimes tell that, Bhante, I saw a bright screen in my meditation. Initially it was red color. Gradually it changed into blue. So vivid details they are explaining, but they don't know they are caught in the process. While they are observing that colorful screen, the magic is happening with the breath. Your initial object, while they are distracted with those mental images, the magic is happening with the breath. Your initial object. So you have to understand various things. They come and they try to distract us. But we keep directing our attention towards the selected observation. Time after time, we have to let go of those things that are appearing. We have to give up those things that are appearing and return to the original observation. So most of these things come according to our own liking. Sometimes past memories. Those memories you have given a certain value to them. So they appear in the meditation. Sometimes certain problems, family matters, you have given so much value to them. So they appear in the meditation. So you can see these type of misdirection happens time after time. If you want to give up those thoughts, if you want to give up those memories, problems, then in a way you have to give up the value that you have given to them. You have given value and that's why they are coming, but now you don't give that much of value to those experiences. So that type of observation we do. This self-view, we try to figure out where it is, what is happening in the present moment, what is happening with this self. This world, we try to experience a certain level of emptiness in our practice. So those are the ideas Buddha is giving. Having uprooted the view of self, you may thus cross the death. Then the final part, Evang lokang avekkantang Mogharaja napassati. That's how to look upon the world so the king of death won't see you. So Buddha is giving the answer to Mogharaja. This is how you should look upon the world. You should, being ever mindful, you should look upon the world as empty. And that emptiness, the perfect emptiness, is something different than the initial emptiness we experience in the practice. Now, one extreme, the fullness we have experienced in our life a lot. Now the other extreme, being empty of things, we get to experience in our practice. Again and again we go to the fullness, again and again we come to the emptiness. That experience we can see in our practice. Let's say the breath disappearing. You stay with that calm kind of experience. But after a while you can feel again the friction appears. Again the breath appears. Again the bodily difficulties are appearing. Again the surrounding noises are appearing. Again the problems with these surrounding people. The problem in the retreat center, they are appearing. Again the problems at home, they are appearing. Again the whole world of problems are appearing. So most of the meditators, they get caught in this. Another trap. What is this trap? Now earlier you have been addicted to fullness. Now you try to be addicted to emptiness of things. In a way it is good. Compared to a worldly person, it is good. But being empty is not the final destination. Most of the meditators, they get this wrong. They say, my practice is emptiness. I sit in meditation. If I can achieve that emptiness, I am happy. If my mind is calm, I am happy. If my mind is not calm, if I feel my mind is all over the place, if I feel thoughts, if I feel friction in this body, then my meditation session is no good. That's how most of the yogis tell. But we have to tell them, have this beginner's mind, beginner's approach towards your practice. With the experience only, you have come to that conclusion. The idea of being empty, being calm in your meditation. That conclusion comes with experience of your practice. And you have made that destination. That is my practice. That is my destination. But the beginner's mind, beginner's approach is that you simply sit in meditation. You simply walk in meditation. You simply face your daily life with mindfulness. And whatever comes, that's your meditation for today. Some of the sitting sessions might be calm. Some of the sitting sessions, your mind is all over the place. Some of the working sessions you feel comfortable. Some of the walking sessions are full of thoughts. Some days are peaceful. Some days come with problems. Right? So that beginner's approach, you sit in meditation and that's your best meditation for today. You walk in meditation, that's your best meditation for today. You face your day, whatever comes, that is the best day that you can have. It's like that Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh with his friend, he's having discussion and he's asking, what day is it? Then the friend, he answers, it's today. Then instead of arguing, Winnie is saying, my favorite day. My favorite day, today. Yes? That's not how we think. We say that earlier when I was younger, that's my favorite time. Or when I grow up, when I go work, when I earn well, that would be my best time. So that way we are always suggesting the best day or the favorite day would be either in the past or the future. But if you know the practice, you have to understand this is the best day, the favorite day. This meditation session, whether it is peaceful or not, this is the best session that you can have at the moment. That very approach is important. And sometimes life becomes difficult. Certain problems come. Sometimes illness appears in your body. What can you do about it? You simply have to accept it. Accept that day. That is the best day I can have today. My favorite day. Right? So that type of approach is important. So you are having certain kind of a beginner's approach. You approach your walking, sitting, and you appreciate that. Whatever the experience might be. And that way, when you practice, whether your mind is full, whether your mind is empty, whether your mind is all over the place, whether your mind is calm, your mind doesn't move due to the very experience that we are having. Usually our minds, they move according to the experience. But now, with repetitive practice, whatever the experience that's there in the moment, your mind is not moved by it. In a way, you deeply understand that there is no real essence in this. Something is there. Something is there, but you don't appreciate it as self-view. Some experience is there, but you are not appreciating it as I am experiencing this. No, that's not the way. Instead, you are simply there with that experience, and in that experience there is no real essence. That's the very idea of Buddhist emptiness. Not simply by being empty, getting rid of things. That's not the case. Instead, there is no real essence in this. And when you do many rounds of meditation, usually the meditation, they go in cycle. Cycles happen. Breath is there, breath is disappearing. Again the breath appears. Again the breath disappears. So this way, many cycles will happen even in a single meditation session. For a beginner, they don't see it. They don't see the full cycle. But when you repetitively meditate, some people will say, breath is disappearing, appearing, disappearing, appearing. I have gone through maybe like 15 cycles in a single meditation session. What is happening? Whether the breath is there or whether the breath has disappeared, your mind is not moved by it. Your mind is not moved by the experience. That's the very idea of emptiness. There is no real essence in this. Something is there. This body is there. Certain thoughts come and go. Sometimes we experience or encounter other people. But in this, there is no real essence. And when you see this experience as no real essence, that's how you can escape the king of death. If you identify this experience as something important, if you value this experience as something important, then there is no escaping king of death. Because one day you have to separate from this experience. You have to separate from your family members. You have to separate from your body. You have to separate from the home that you have made with sweat and blood. So as long as you value this experience, there is no escaping the king of death. So Buddha is suggesting for us to continue our practice, and when we don't assign any value to this very experience, when we don't appreciate any essence in this, that's how you can escape the king of death. He won't see you because you are not assigning any value to what you are experiencing at the moment. That's the very idea of emptiness, the perfect emptiness. Otherwise, we experience a certain level of relative emptiness, but that's not the final destination. Instead, whether the things are good or bad, your mind is not moved. Whether the people are there or not, your mind is not moved. Whether you have worldly things or not, your mind is not moved. That very level, you have to repetitively practice and get. And when you reach that level, you can see your mind is not moved by this experience. You don't assign any value to this experience. And that's how you can really escape the king of death. He won't see you. He won't see you because you are not assigning any value to the experience. Whether you are there with the experience or whether you are not, it doesn't matter to your mind. Right? So that very level you have to achieve before the real death comes. Otherwise, if you wait, if you postpone till your deathbed, then without you even knowing, you will cry, you will scream, you will try to escape from this. You will try to live another day. And finally, you will be carried by the king of death. Because he sees you. He sees your struggle. He sees that you are assigning a certain value to what you are having. Right? So we can continue with our practice, and with repetitive practice, we will get to experience what Buddha is suggesting us. And with that statement, we will conclude today's session.